Most of us are familiar with the parable of the talents, how that Jesus talked about a man who was a traveling man, and he was left to his servants these charges, and he gave to one 5 talents, another 2, another 1. And according to the parable, Jesus said the one who had the 5 took it, invested that 5, and created 5 more. So he had a total of 10. And the person who had the 2 also invested and doubled, and now they had 4. But the man who only had 1 talent, he says that he went, he dug a hole in the ground, and he buried it. And so when the man came back from his journeys, and he invested into how these men had applied their talents. And of course, the one with the 5 now had 10, and the one with the 2 now had 4. But that one who refused to use his talents to improve life's situations and circumstances, he took it and buried it in the ground. He was very much a disappointment. And this was what was said to him. They said, "You are wicked and slothful. And we're going to take the 1 talent you have, and we're going to give it to him who had the 10. And now he has 11, and you have none. And you will be cast into outer darkness with weeping and gnashing of teeth." Now, most of the time when we hear that parable, we don't realize where it leads. But it leads to service and serving. And what Jesus begins to teach us after this illustration was about somebody who would see somebody who was hungry and would feed them. Or see somebody who was naked and he would clothe them. Or you'd see a stranger and give him shelter. Or someone who would be sick and would go and visit and minister to them. Or somebody who was in prison, that you would go to them. You see, they said to Jesus, "Jesus, when did we ever minister to you this way? When did we visit you when you were sick? Or when did we come to you when you were in prison? Or when did we feed you when you were hungry? When did these things happen?" And Jesus said, he says, "If you've done it into the least of these," we're talking about humanity here. He says, "if you have ministered unto humanity in any way, then you have ministered unto me." So as a form of sacrifice and as a form of praise and thanksgiving, then we would have a heart to take what talents and abilities that we have and invest them in such a way that they would be a blessing and ministry to humanity. But now here's the part that most people would miss, where Scripture says, "Inasmuch as you have done it to the least of these, you have done it unto me." But he goes on to say, "Inasmuch as you did not do this unto the one of the least of these, then you did not do it unto me." Those are the words of Jesus. In other words, if you don't want to minister to your fellow man, then you don't have a heart to minister to Jesus. It's Pastor Jack King with the gospel on the radio broadcast.